Are you confused by blend modes? Of course you are, everybody is! Let me simplify it for you. Okay, and here we are in Photoshop. I'm going to give you a very quick crash course in blend modes. Blend modes are amazing, they are awesome, and they can help you out massively to get a really good dramatic effect, potentially on an entire image or just a part of an image. It's completely up to you. So blend modes, what are they? Blend modes can be applied to a layer to affect the layer beneath. Now, without going into all the maths, there is a massive amount of maths that go into how it calculates what it should be. We can keep it really simple and just talk about color. We're really talking about the pixels in the underlying layer, but when we apply a blend mode to a layer on top of another one, it is affected, depending on which blend mode you use, depending on the color and the pixels of the layer beneath, the base layer. So for instance, we have a lot of blend modes since a very early, I think CS7 version of Photoshop. We've had 27 blend modes added, and they're all in this panel, which is an unmarked drop down box just here. And if you scroll through, you can see they all do different things depending on your layer. Now we have a base layer here. I'm using a sort of check layer, a black and white check layer, to show you what these blend modes can do depending on the obviously the color and pixels of the image beneath. Now you'll see that these blend modes, they are in sections and or groups, and each group does a particular thing. So the top group is considered the normal group. This actually won't actually blend anything unless you use the opacity or fill next to it here. So if we're in dissolve, you can then blend by using opacity or fill, and that would give you the effect. The same as normal obviously doesn't do anything unless you use opacity or fill to blend this layer with the layer beneath. Not always going to be getting you the effect that you want, potentially. The next group is the darken group, and with these modes you will see that anything that is darker than white will be affected. So depending on which mode you use, the areas get dark. You will notice that the areas that are white or were white, even on the color burn mode, so the area down the bottom here was white in this top layer, is not being affected because everything is being darkened. Everything that is darker than white will affect the layer beneath. The next group is the lighten group. This means that everything that is not black is going to be affected. So screen mode is one that's used very often for things like fireworks. If you have a firework image with a black background on top of another image and you put it into screen blending mode, everything that is black will disappear. And there are obviously other modes there that do different things. So this is the lighten blend group set of blend modes. The next one is the contrast. Overlay is used a lot. This will determine the color of the pixels in the underlying layer or the base layer, and either brighten it or darken it depending on whether it is brighter or darker than 50% grey. And you will notice that the areas here that are 50% grey in this image, if we put that back to overlay, aren't being affected. So that there is the original colour or original tone and colour of this layer here. If I turn that off. Very effective. So we've got things like soft light. All of these modes, apart from hard mix, will do the same thing. It will affect the pixel beneath it depending on whether it is lighter or darker than 50% grey. Hard mix doesn't do that. It does something completely different. I don't think I've ever used hard mix anyway. The next group is the inversion or cancellation group. This will affect the pixels depending on the color of the pixels beneath, and either invert it or cancel it out completely. And depending on the effect that you want, you will obviously use them as and when. To be honest, I don't think I've ever used anything in this group for a very long time. And the last group is the component group. Now this is an interesting group and I use it quite a bit if I want to change the hue or saturation or luminance of a particular layer depending on the layer beneath it. I will use one of these. So obviously our top layer here is a black and white layer, so if we use one of these, it's going to turn everything black and white apart from the luminosity. Obviously it's only going to change the luminosity of that layer. So if I make a curves adjustment layer, I like to use curves, and make a very extreme adjustment like such, see this doesn't look too good, and place this layer into a hue saturation layer, you will see that it's just affecting the hue and saturation. If I change that to saturation, it's only affecting the saturation, and if I change that to color, it's only going to affect the color. Again, the luminosity, it's only going to affect the brightness levels that I've chosen and not the color. So all the colors stay exactly the same. It is one that I use a lot, very much so, luminosity and especially the color blend modes. If I only want to affect those, especially when I'm doing things like skin tones, if I'm going to do a dodge and burn on someone's face, I don't want my burn to affect the color of the skin. I only want it to affect the luminosity, the darkness, the brightness and darkness of the skin tone, not necessarily change the color. So I'll place that curves, it's generally curves when I do dodge and burn, in luminosity mode, so it only affects the brightness and not the color of the underlying layer. So as a quick recap, blends modes look at the blend layer and the base layer and determine, using some god-awful calculations, how the blend layer should blend with the base layer beneath it and give you a result that hopefully you're looking for. Have a play around. These things are massive. I will do a longer video on the science behind each and every one of these at some point. It's going to take an awful long time to explain because it's very, very confusing for a start, and often or not, you're going to get used to these by actually playing around with them. So get into Photoshop, have a play around with blend modes. If you've seen any of my editing videos before, you've seen me doing dodge and burn, you'll see me use blend modes quite a bit, and I really hope you found this video really helpful, and a very quick but very easy way of looking at blend modes. Whack a thumbs up if you can. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so you get updates every time I upload a new video, and until the next one, have a great day. I'll see you soon. Bye. Hi, I'm Andy, and I'm here to tell you about my new online landscape photography academy. It's not your traditional online photography course, it's also a mentorship program. Many of you most likely know me from my YouTube channel, and if you enjoy my process of getting an awesome image from the landscape around me, you can learn to do that too. So, how does it work? After signing up for the Landscape Academy, you will immediately receive access to all lectures taking you through every aspect of landscape photography. From beginner courses through to intermediate and onto the more advanced photographic techniques. At the end of each lecture, you'll be provided an assessment to progress you through the steps of creating an appealing image from beginning to end. After submitting each assignment, you will receive a handcrafted personal feedback video on your progress, giving you actionable steps to take your work to the next level. These mentorship sessions continue as you build your skill set from beginner to advanced landscape photography. By the time you finish the course, you will have hours of personal video feedback crafted especially for you. Additionally, the entire Landscape Academy is self-paced and you have a lifetime access to all of the content. So there's no need to worry about deadlines or losing access to the content after an arbitrary amount of time. You may want to skip the Beginner 1 course if you have a basic understanding of photography and a good grasp of camera settings. But if you're an absolute beginner, fear not, this course is designed to get you started from scratch. If you want to sign up and get more information, just click the link below or check out the Academy link on my website.